Good morning and welcome back to News Center here on KTN News. Let's bring you one of the stories we've just heard from the High Court that this morning they've dismissed a case by presidential candidate Abduba Dida seeking to stop the presidential debate. Now, Dida had sought orders declaring that the format placing Raila to debate Uhuru in a separate debate was discriminatory to the other candidates. Organizers had divided the 8 candidates into 2 categories of those who got below and above 5% in popularity ratings in national opinion polls. Now, both Raila and Uhuru have pulled out of the debate, and they did so earlier this week, citing discomfort with the consultation that had, in their opinion, not happened. All right, let's bring you another story where the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has ordered Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho to allow his opponents erect campaign billboards. IEBC want Joho that if the candidates, who include Senator Hassan Omar, Nyali MP Awiti Bolo, and Jubilee's Suleiman Shabal, are not allowed to access to advertising space by 9 a.m. this morning, he shall be held personally liable. IEBC Mombasa returning officer Nancy Kariuki wanted Joho that he will be referred to the IEBC Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee if the county government of Mombasa blocks the erection of billboards. All right, let's get more details from our Coast reporter, Francis Ontomo, is live for us. Francis, of course, we've heard the Mombasa governor even here on KTN speak to this issue and say, why is it that his competitors want a space from him, and yet they should be going to the advertising companies, that he's a competitor with them, so he should not give them. But clearly the courts there disagree.
Well, indeed, Sophia, this time around, IEBC has spoken, and they are saying they are speaking for fairness' sake to the other candidates who are also jostling for space on the billboards here in Mombasa. And yes, indeed, we've confirmed from IEBC that they sought audience with Hassan Ali Joho, the governor of Mombasa, to allow space for the rest of the other candidates to put up their billboards. And this directive, they say, was actually buoyed by the fact that they need to give a level playground, actually, for the rest of the other candidates. We have had quite a reaction from Joho's office. He's spoken to Richard Chacha, the communications director at the county government, and he has said that they find no basis in this directive, first because they're saying they are not charged with procurement of these billboards, and having procured these billboards much earlier than their candidate, than their opponents, this should not really be another ground for them to be victimized, and therefore it looks like the enforcement of this directive by IEBC will be getting a bit of hitches. But earlier on, of course, Joho has been saying that he has nothing really to fight in this, and he has been saying that he can actually even donate some of these billboards to his opponents. But this time around, given that it is a directive that is coming from IEBC, it is interesting to see whether it will be heeded and how they are going really to approach it all together. Sophia, it is also important perhaps to bring you up to speed of what transpired also today earlier in the morning around 3 a.m. An incident happened at the Senator of Mombasa's office. He says his roadshow truck was vandalized and smashed by what he calls political detractors, and he gave a press briefing earlier in the morning, of course, saying that politics should not take that particular direction, but he has said that he has recorded that statement with the police, and the police are investigating this matter. Therefore, that is perhaps what we can give you in terms of the politics, the campaign trails that are happening down here. Of course, all candidates jostling for space really to try and send and sell their manifestos to the people of Mombasa, Sophia.
Right. So, Francis, we have not then, since this directive, not from the court, but from IEBC, since it was issued, there has no movement as far as removing some of those billboards, is there?
Well, you read that particular statement that has been circulating online. It reads that by today, 9 a.m., this particular directive should have started to be enforced, but we've had our rounds down in town and nothing much is happening, so we don't know really when it is going to be enforced by IEBC. And of course, it has to be enforced by IEBC and perhaps also security apparatus who will be, of course, ensuring that this is done. But the kind of reaction that we are getting from Joho's side, from Joho's spokesperson, that is Richard Chacha, indicates that they are not going to take it lying down. Of course, they are going to present also their case regarding this subject. And time and again, they have said that procurement and everything to do with billboards is on the hands of private players. Sophia.
Finally, are these gubernatorial candidates that are seeking to unseat Joho looking to seek legal recourse, move to court on this matter if Joho and his camp do not remove these billboards?
Well, court direction, really, we've not really had much coming from that side. Of course, the last time we talked about court issues was that time that Awiti Bolo, the Vibrant Democratic Party candidate, said that he had been summoned over the billboard issues. But we've heard also Hassan Omar, the Senator of Mombasa, who is also vying for this seat on a Wiper ticket, talking about this issue. He has not really indicated whether he is taking the court direction also, but he has said that he's going to fight it out also. And I even heard him actually joke about this, saying that he will be timing, looking at those NASA billboards, then he'll go and place his picture on top of the other candidates. And therefore, at this particular juncture, the legal cause, actually, we've not had much of that really happening, because we don't know whether they are going to follow that direction or they're going really to push it. But looking at what Awiti Bolo did the other time when, of course, this particular matter arose, he went ahead and started erecting his own billboards, of course, regardless of the bylaws here, of the laws actually that govern the billboard erection here in Mombasa. And therefore, this particular juncture, a lot of course, confusion regarding this subject, but IEBC seems to be moving in to try and perhaps put in some wisdom around this subject.
Many thanks, Francis Ontomwa, live for us from Mombasa. Much appreciated. Let's bring it back to studio. And your thoughts, Jesse, on the politics of billboards, if you like, in Mombasa. Of course, that direction coming from IEBC. It appears it does not carry, quote-unquote, weight when it comes to the Secretariat of Joho, in as far as what they're saying so far through the spokesperson.
Yeah, I remember this road is not start today. It has been happening for a few weeks now about the billboards in Mombasa. And the governor, the current incumbent, Joho, says that billboards are not managed by the county government. They only put regulations on advertisers. The business of billboards erection is for the private companies. Mm-hmm. So he only does the clearance. But then, being a smart politician as he is, he went ahead and bought all the billboards in town, all the billboard space in town. So definitely, this was a way of knocking the other opponents from advertising, so they don't have space to advertise. But then now, that is his right. He has the money and he can buy, but then it doesn't augur well for democracy. That is, technically, you want to compete with others, but then you've already rigged the elections before the elections have started. They can't advertise.
But rig is a strong word, is it? Because, I mean, as you said, has the resources. It is campaigns. It was smart thinking ahead of time, put them up. And he's competing to become governor once again.
Why I'm saying that is because his office is the one that clears the private entities to erect billboards. Mm-hmm. And it has happened before, even in Nairobi. Mm. There are sometimes erected temporary billboards for some other uses if the space is already clogged up. Why is this office not doing that? You know, it brings so many questions. Okay. I mean, if you've already bought out the space and these other competitors also want to use the space to advertise and campaign, why don't you allow them to erect temporary structures? At the end of the day, they're still going to pay for that space. Okay. The revenue is still going to come back to the county government.
So do you agree he's playing dirty, the governor?
Well, rigging is a strong word. I don't know. But I think, what my colleague is pointing to is that you need to also give others, some space and so on. But, it's a competition, like you're saying, Sophia. I agree with it's a competition and so on. But, again, IEBC is trying to play a fair arbitrator, to say, if it's a bit contentious, why don't we do it this way? I think it's fair because politicians, politics is about influencing public decisions and the flow of policy, either for your own good or for people you represent. That's what we define politics in simple terms.
Right.
And so they are political actors. I wouldn't want to say anything that paints Joho in bad light right here, because I don't even know them, these people. And they say a lot of indecent things, of course. But it's very important that they maintain decency. So I agree with IEBC that whatever IEBC advises members of the political class, it's only that they try to follow and do the right thing. Because that way...
But you think that carries weight? Because so now what if they decide not to follow the directives by IEBC?
Whether or not it carries weight, the IEBC is only trying to say the right thing.
Are there consequences to not following IEBC?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you don't follow the law properly, if you don't follow the electoral regulations, IEBC has got options. They remember, once the whole thing is done and you're the winner, and I'm not talking about Joho, the winner could be, what's his name, Shabal or
yeah,
if he wins, or Awiti, yeah, those guys, Hassan Omar. Yeah. If they win any of them, there will be an audit process. And that is why the Chief Justice said, you will meet me in court, anyone who has a case against you will come, and I will thrash it out. And some people will lose their seats.
Yeah,
That is how the court came in because of the nominations, you remember. A lot of people who thought they had won, the court said, look here, you did 1, 2, 3. And that was wrong, and the police and people had evidence. So you can run, but you can't hide from the law. And that is not about Joho. I'm talking about every politician in the country, from MCA to presidential candidate.
And also, as you make your point, to comment on, vandalizing, as we've heard there of Hassan Omar, who's also a gubernatorial candidate, of his track, campaign track, waking up to find a mess.
I'm coming to that. Let me just add something with regard to the billboards. You asked whether the IEBC direction has weight and why Joho hasn't complied up to now. Joho is going to argue that as much as IEBC directives are there, we also have county laws and how advertisement is done and how billboards are done. For instance, the county government got an order last week to pull down a billboard which was erected without passing through the laid down procedure and the county laws. Actually, it was erected just before a school. And his argument was, if you erect this before a school, next time people will start advertising cigarette and
bad
alcohol
precedent.
And bad precedent. So, the IEBC also has to be alive. As much as that directive is there, player playing field, but then there are also laws in this country that they also have to go with. And the reason why I'm saying that this looks bad on Joho, I wish him well for his campaigns. But then the same scenario that he was saying, actually, even politically, saying that he's being hard on by the central government, is the same thing that he's now doing to his other opponents, now bullying him. So actually, it takes away that credibility that he used to talk about, that, I'm the right guy, I'm working for your interest, and I'm defending your rights. Now he's the one now who appears to be the bully. That doesn't augur well for him. Okay. Both at the Mombasa County level and even nationally. He has already built a national stature. Let him continue working on that. And then the second question you asked on Hassan Omar vandalism.
Yes.
That is, it is so sad to reach at this level where people are still playing the politics of vandalizing secretariats, cars. We want to move from that level as a country.
Yes.
We should pass that.
Yes.
It should be criticized by all and sundry that this is wrong. Chances are high probably it was vandalized. And then we also have to be alive to political realities in this country. Probably it is stage managed to whip up emotions. We don't know the truth. So it's only the security agents that can come and tell us.
And you look now, that's where the police comes in.
Yeah.
Look, it is very wrong for anyone to go and break into the campaign paraphernalia of Omar. That's very bad. And it is not just bad, it is against the law any day. And any person who does that, the police must investigate and find out who did that. And if he did that to himself is also very wrong, because you can do that. But that is bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the presidential race now.
Yeah.
And the state of the same. Of course, campaign trails are hotting up, and we've seen the various candidates well, the two, Raila and Uhuru, traversed the country, various parts of the country. Uhuru was in Bomet yesterday, and this was the day after Raila was in Bomet. Raila and NASA were in
Bomet
Kericho.
and then later Kericho, yeah.
Yeah, they were in Kericho. So the latest visits where we're seeing them go, the kind of rhetoric as well we're hearing from the campaign trail, what do you make of it?
It's a good campaign. The presidential aspirants, and we would like even to see the others come out, because sometimes we don't see them.
Yeah.
That's why they're being forgotten by the media council and all this.
No one was forgotten. You should not say
They
that.
should all come out.
You should not say that.
Not in a bad way, you know.
Yeah.
But they should all. Everyone should let them come out and campaign. The president, he's got his share of the game, and so is the former prime minister, Raila Odinga. Good
Yeah.
enough. They look like, you know, each time one goes somewhere, another one follows, and vice versa, and so on.
It's like
but
trying
there's
to
a lot
ensure
of
they don't...
there's a lot of tolerance among the people. You
the
don't
Kiambu
find,
visit by Raila.
yeah,
very warm.
tolerance. Tolerance.
Welcome.
Yes. And when some people start beating drums of war, you wonder where they saw this, because our people have been fairly friendly to all these candidates. You know, sometimes they get carried away, they say a bit of stuff, and then the next day someone reacts. Sometimes a few things bordering on hate speech and so on. But I think they have learned their lesson.
Really?
Each of them, they
Or
have
not?
got to.
Which lesson have they learned?
They must go to the prayers today. Okay? They must go to after that, those who will go to Kamukunji, they must go there and speak responsibly. This is, Sabasaba is about the day we got our multi-party, and it was a good thing. So it's not about, of course, every politician will want to look better than the other, but always say it in a manner that is fair, friendly, and not being nasty about other people, and always assure your supporters that, you know what, we can lose. And if we lose, you will have to accept that we have lost. And we have to move on. If you win, you have to be the first person to assure the other people that we can coexist.
Yeah.
That is what we want, because that is above everything. I'm trying not to make these leaders look like there's something we can't do without.
We can't do without.
Yeah.
Jesse, let's go to specifics.
Yeah.
Look at first the visit by Raila in Kiambu.
Yeah.
Very warm welcome. Stopped various places, spoke to the people. He sought to, as he said, do away with the sort of perceptions about him. Talking about Mogoroki, he said, not a
He said funny things, yeah.
Yeah, that is mature politics, isn't it? To be able to go to your opponent's stronghold.
Yeah, clearly. And I actually said we were here when Raila was in Kiambu, and we're actually waiting for the president now to go and say and go to Bondo and campaign there. He doesn't need to concentrate only in what is perceived strongholds and the swing counties only. You actually need to take the battle to your opponent's stronghold and see whether you can get something votes. Because at the end of the day, these elections is about numbers, and the turnout is going to determine who is going to be the next president. You remember last elections, actually, the +1 vote that made Uhuru president was less than 8,000. So however little vote you can get, even from your opponent's side, you have to squeeze it. Even that 10 votes is going to make a difference. And then you are asking about Raila comes from Bomet, Uhuru goes back there, Kericho. You know, the moment your opponent comes to what is perceived as your stronghold and stirs the water, you have to go back there and quell it. You realize immediately Uhuru left Kakamega, NASA were also there to come and do damage control of whatever the NASA team had done. And then also, you see, it's not just about the numbers. At the end of the day, also, the constitution stipulates that the president must get 25% at least in half of the counties. So you have to go to each and every county because it's not just about the majority balance. Because if there is a scenario that you've won the popular vote, but then you haven't met the threshold of getting 25% and a half, and your opponent has got, then you're going to have another constitutional crisis at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
We have to rule again who is going to be the president.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, that has to be there. It was good for Raila to go to Kiambu and even change the way he does politics. No major rally was there. It's like he sneaked through knowing that this is a hostile environment.
Not hostile.
Not
home territory.
Not home territory.
Yeah.
So go there and make various stops and explain to yourself and tell them, listen, I've been in government, I've worked with you, and this is what I've done, and this is my agenda for you people. I'm not that person the way you've been perceived by my opponents, albeit to speak, but then this is me, and this is what I have plans for you. So it's also good. We hope that the president will go to Sia and go to Bondo specifically and sell his agenda there.
Do you think NASA is having an advantage in as far as there are 5 principles, and what we saw in Kericho, for instance, is they distributed themselves, go to different regions, campaign campaign there, then they come together for a major rally in a different location later in the day, as opposed to a lot of what we've been seeing with Jubilee, where the president and deputy are in the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
So do you think that is giving them an advantage in as far as the reach and the people they're able to?
Well, I don't think so, because you see, even the other side, I think they have teams that go out there, but you know, because
but
they have
principal
only
and teams, in terms of weight.
Yeah, no, I don't think some of these things. In fact, have you realized that by this time, you're feeling like the whole talk is saturated, you know? Like we're almost getting there to the elections, and it's like a lot of people made their mind already and such things. So it's only like affirming, and their presence is being felt. And the media is doing it very well. If you look at the newspapers, they're showing one side and the other one in equal measure, giving them enough
It's good you
space.
see it that way, because there's some...
No, they cannot tell you. Listen, they will never tell you you're being fair. None of them will tell you, because they will always say you're being fair to the other side. So we like what the media is doing, showing one in equal measure, and trying to give them, you know, space to talk to the people. But avoid people who say bad things, hate speech to others. Those ones, don't report them. Because those are people who are myopic, and they think everything ends with them. Don't let those ones talk. Don't let those ones who pull weapons or do threaten citizens. Those ones should not be given a chance to be heard. They should be prosecuted by the police and the IEBC. So that is a good job the media is doing. I felt, you know, when the EU observers came, there was a little bit like, you know, that like urgency, like, you know, there's going to be tension and so on. Those are going to be somewhat localized in some places, but it's not going to be in a situation where people have to move and people have to fear or anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to take a break here on News Center, and we'll be back with more, including talking about that TIFA survey on Nairobi County, and we saw Governor Kidero. I don't know that it's edging out, because there's always a margin of error. He had 44%, Sonko 43%, and of course we'll talk about the other numbers when we return, as well as bring you what's now happening at Uhuru Park. Stay with us.